Okay, last thing that I forgot to do again, because this is the first episode. Having every guest, you have to say, talk pickle to me in the sexiest way you can.
Oh no, Kaitlyn, I can't do
that. When Jack massages your feet, talk pickle to me.
Talk pickle to me. That's as good as I got.
We'll work on the sexiness once Jorja does it and Jdub does it. Welcome to the first ever episode of Talk Pickle to Me. I'm your host, Pickleball Chick, and today we have the one and only Julie Johnson, a physical therapist, mother, pro pickleball player, and coach of her kids who are both top 10 pro pickleball players in basically all three disciplines. And most importantly, or most recently, I should say, the reigning champs of Major League Pickleball, the Dallas Flash. Julie, thank you so much for accepting to be the first person, aka the guinea pig, on this podcast. As you know, we are celebrating Women in Pickleball by featuring the 10 most influential women in pickleball, and I truly couldn't think of anyone better to kick this podcast off with. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Kaitlyn, and congratulations on your new podcast. Good job.
Thank you. I'm excited, nervous, but I told you I set out to do this 3 years ago and it didn't happen. So no better time to start than today.
Absolutely. You know,
to start off, I kind of want to take it back to how Julie Johnson was raised. Give us a little insight to you as a kid, where you grew up, what the family dynamics were like, and kind of like your athletic and education background.
Okay, so I was one of four kids, number two, raised in the Ozarks in Missouri and Arkansas. And, in a tiny, tiny little town. And we didn't really have a lot of organized sports. It was all the kids in the neighborhood out playing anything and everything until our moms made us come home at night. And, it wasn't, ever a thought of mine, like pro athlete or anything like that was not really a vision in my head. And just a good time. It was just a bunch of kids always playing. And then I kind of got into tennis, and then I met my husband, Jack, who's really into tennis. And he was an All-American in college and tennis. And I always had a love of sport. We always enjoyed just playing whatever. But he kind of started directing me more towards tennis. And he was, he had classic strokes. I just had a lot of junk, but I was athletic and scrappy and had good hand-eye coordination, I guess, just from all the catching, hitting, throwing I'd done of any ball I could find growing up. So then I actually went to a small university in Kansas for my undergrad, Pittsburgh State University, go Gorillas. And then I went to grad school at KU, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, and got my master's degree in physical therapy and practiced as a physical therapist in a small town in Kansas where Jack owned his veterinary clinic, and worked there at the hospital, inpatient and in outpatient rehab for years and years. So.
Wow. And was it athlete specific, or was it kind of anyone and everything?
Yeah, when you're in a small town, you kind of get to be a jack of all trades and master of none, sort of. And so I had done a rotation at Texas Children's Hospital. So I did the pediatric work for us. Wow. But then we kind of had to see whatever came in the door. And so in outpatient, we would do a stroke. And one patient would be a stroke or Parkinson's, a neuro patient, straight into an ACL repair on the local football player. So wow. We saw it all.
Well, I truly respect what physical therapists have done. I've had 6 knee surgeries and ankle surgery. I lived in physical therapy throughout my years growing up and in college playing soccer. So it
sounds like it. Wow.
Yeah. Lived in it. But that's awesome. Okay. So you met your husband while you were in Kansas. And then when did you decide to move to Florida? Because I believe you moved to Naples first, then East Coast.
Good job, Kaitlyn. Yeah. Nice. You've done your homework. Yeah. So, Jack was ready to sell his practice and retire. And we had kind of gotten to the place in Jdub's tennis career where, we were in this tiny little town. Everything was a 2-hour drive for us. And this is a funny little caveat. JW actually took tennis lessons and worked with Jack Sock's brother, Eric, in Kansas City for a while right before we moved. And I wish I could find it, Kaitlyn, but I had a picture of Jack was back in town and Eric's like, come on, JW, you can go hit with them. And so here's Jack Sock with little JW. And I would love to find that, but I can't find it anywhere. It was pretty fun.
That's amazing. I didn't even know Jack was from there, but okay.
Yeah, he trained up in Kansas City almost his whole career. Anyway, so we just knew that we needed to get into a better place for JW's tennis, which is what facilitated the move to Naples. We were in Naples about a year and then still felt like we were driving to the East Coast for the bulk of the tennis tournaments and training and whatnot, and the really good players, which is what made us move over a year later to the East Coast of Florida, which is where we've been ever since. And my joke I have that my kids don't think is funny is I actually started playing pickleball to get away from all of them.
How that did a 180.
That was a backfire.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a friend who was a snowbird, wintered in Florida, and he'd come back. And Dawn, I think, is close to 90 now and still plays pickleball. But he said, I've learned this new sport. And we had a pickleball court in Pittsburgh, Kansas, where we lived. And they took us out and he taught us pickleball. And we didn't think anything of it. But then we moved to Florida and, in pickle, you just don't have to, you can go to the local park and put your paddle in, and I didn't have to know anybody versus tennis. And so I was the one who kind of started playing the most. And, then the kids, JW first, and then Jorja's like, whoa, where are they going? And so it kind of just kept trickling down like that. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Okay. So you actually found it originally in Kansas. Then you moved to Naples. You started playing while Jdub is probably like playing tennis and traveling. And what was Jorja? I mean, Jorja was like super young at this point.
Yeah. She's 10, 11, and she's still playing softball. So she played softball for the first year, pretty hardcore over there in Naples. And then once we moved to this coast, she didn't want to play softball anymore, but, there's nothing I could do that would be that much fun, right? So, but I can't remember exactly how this went. I wish she was here, but I think like she went out and there was a young family that had, or kids that were younger here in Naples or in Del Rey that we started playing with, the Kriegers. And, then I took her to a Moneyball tournament up at like Port St. Lucie. And she played with, oh my God, I'm blanking on his name, but Millie was there and she played with this, guy. I don't even know who it is anymore. It's the first time we met Millie. And then, Gabe was there and she and Gabe exchanged phone numbers. And then they played a tournament together and won, a couple months later. And so then I think it was when she started meeting people her own age that actually played pickle. That's when she finally got, kind of interested. And then I think she didn't like getting left at home with dad while Jdub and I went to tournaments either.
That's amazing. I mean, yeah, it started off with like, I remember when I was going to play down here in New Jersey and my parents would be like, Kaitlyn, you are a loser. You played like real sports growing up. And now every time we like drive by the pickleball court you're going to, there's 90-year-olds. Like this isn't a real sport. Like it wasn't cool like years ago to play pickleball.
No,
it was like the losers did, but now like every Gen Z, like everyone's coming out and loving it. So it's a trend change for sure.
100%. Yeah.
And okay, so I just want to get this straight. What year did you find pickleball? And then what year did you start playing pro? And like
Kaitlyn,
traveling?
I am so bad with years. So I think this is almost 2025. I think we're coming up on 8 years in Florida. Okay.
Wow.
So Jorja is 18. Pretty sure she was 10 when we moved. And then we were actually at so JW and I, okay, first of all, poor kid. He had to play mixed with me when we first started Pickle.
Oh my God.
He refuses to play pickleball with me ever. I mean, like, he's over it. It was so bad. Anyway, so we were at the very first PPA tournament there ever was in Mesa.
Wow.
Back in, I'm going to guess, what was that, 5 years ago?
It was 2020 or 2021. MLP started in 2021.
So it was 2020, right before COVID, right? Is that when COVID hit?
Yeah, COVID hit 2020.
Yeah. So Connor had the first tournament in, I think it was February. And then a month later, COVID hit and kind of shut the whole thing down. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
So
and you were there.
Yeah. Okay. 2020.
Okay. So now you're playing, you're done kind of the physical therapy thing at this point.
Yeah. So when we moved to Florida, I just didn't want to go through the hassle of doing. Yeah. So, I'm not doing any more physical therapy. Except for on my kids.
I was going to say, you never lose all of that information and you're definitely
in fact,
using
Kaitlyn, I have to laugh because we were at the Delray Beach Tennis Center when I first started, and there's usually like 60 to 80 people out there playing. And I was sitting by this friend of mine, Michael Niss, and somebody fell on the court and they're like, so-and-so fell. They've hurt their knee. And the whole place gets up and runs over there. And I look over and Michael and I are sitting there and I'm like, I'm not going over there. Are you? He goes, nope.
Oh my God. You're like, I'm not getting involved.
I'm kind of sad you put it out there because I treat Millie. I work on a few people, but for the most part, I'm like, no, I'm over it.
Yeah, no, I get that. That actually brings up a question that I wanted to ask. During the Tour Wars, it was kind of like the first term of the Johnson 5 was kind of created, or it was the inception of the Johnson 5, which includes Jdub, Jorja, Millie, Dylan, and Gabe Tardio. How did that occur? What was it just because they all trained together, because they're friends? Was it because they're under your academy over there? Like what created the Johnson 5? Yeah,
so we did all we were always all together, which I don't think had anything to do with it. I think it had to do mostly with the fact that when everything hit, Dylan, Jdub, and Jorja all had the same agent. And then Millie and Gabe didn't have an agent, and it felt big, like they needed help. And so our agent went ahead and took them on. And so then he kind of had everybody under his umbrella, and that's kind of where it started. So,
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And just to follow up, are you guys still with the same agent? Because I know that people have been switching agents since that happened. I feel like your guy was kind of he's not very well known in pickleball. He's kind of, I don't know if he just does you guys or if he has other players, but what does that kind of relationship look like?
Yeah. So we are still with Patrick, and Patrick, this is a funny story. I met Patrick through a mutual senior pro pickleball friend. And I was getting ready to go to the first MLP, and JW played on, oh my gosh, what was the name of that? Oh, it was called Rally was the name of the team. Mm-hmm. I still have some of the clothes, and it was owned by I wish I could come up with this guy's name. He was a big oil man from Texas. All right. And the team only made it one season, and that season it was Jdub and Dylan, Jesse Irvine, and Susanna Barr. And Jdub and Dylan only won one men's match. Anyway, so Patrick and I talk, and I told him, I said, I'm getting ready to go to this event called Major League Pickleball, and we were talking. He goes, "Do you mind if I meet you there?" And I was like, well, it's in Dripping Springs, Texas, but yeah, you're welcome to come. Yeah. And Patrick worked for Octagon for 19 years. He knows everything about sports and everybody in sports. And so I was like, sure. And this guy shows up, and I'm with my kid's godmother, who's so excited to be there. And we don't get to see each other that often because she's still in Kansas. And there's this guy and he's asking me literally 1 million questions all day long about stuff I've never even thought about. And he's like, well, the business infrastructure. I'm like, dude, I don't even know what you're talking about. So I told Patty, I said, Patty, I swear he's leaving tonight. It'll be fine. Like, he's going to leave. All right. We'll get some time together. And so he walks away and he comes back. He goes, I changed my flight. I'm going to stick around. So, that's how we met Patrick. And JW played so bad. And it was such a bad experience all the way around that I was like, I'll never hear from that guy again. And, you know, once he left, that was that. And then about 3 weeks later, we kind of differ on how it went. Like, I don't remember it the way he did. But anyway, we reconnected and he's like, I'll be happy to help you guys if you want to go forward.
Wow.
So that's how that started.
That
he was at the first MLP.
Amazing story. So he's also seen, you know, the ups and downs and twists and turns, and he's been a part of it all from that. And does he work with any other players or now just Jdub and Jorja?
Jdub, Jorja, and Dylan. Yep, just the three of them. Mm-hmm.
All right. We like a picky guy.
Yeah.
No, that's great though. I feel like agents can be so incredibly helpful in helping to navigate, you know, not only, you know, have a voice for, you know, who they're trying to speak up for, but they can really understand, you know, the universe as a whole and have conversations that just, you know, somebody that's, you know, like yourself, a mother, a brother, like those, they become much more difficult to have. So I think that's great that someone's looking out for them and has been with them for so long that you can trust.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been good.
All right. So let's switch gears a little bit. Dallas, you were the coach of the Dallas Flash who just won Major League Pickleball. Now, to back up a little bit, you've basically been the coach for Jdub and Jorja their entire career in pickleball. But you're also, many other people have phenomenal things to say about you. I hear random, Rachel Rohrbacher has said how amazing it is to play with Jorja because you're on the bench, you know, or one of the parts is because you're on the bench. I know Vivian Glasman loves you on the bench. So talk a little bit about, just before we get into the Dallas Flash, talk a little bit about coaching for you.
So actually, Kaitlyn, I always tell my kids, listen, you guys will be the first generation of true pickleball coaches because you're the first generation of true pickleball professionals, right?
Yeah.
However, until then, you get me as default. So, you know, the coaching thing, I already felt like I wore enough hats for my kids, you know, and I'm trying to be mom and, you know, this and that. And I don't even do my kids' fitness, and I could, but it's just one more thing that they need to go do that on their own. Yeah. We're all up in each other's business way too much, you know?
Yeah.
And, it's hard to go back and forth. In fact, we had a bad family moment in the finals where it was like, it went bad family instead of coach, you know, player. And it was just like, whoa, that was bad.
I didn't even notice.
Oh yeah. But in the finals of PPA, not in MLP. Okay. And, so I have to be anyway, but as I was with the kids, and watching, I don't think anybody's hardly watched as much pickleball as, you know, I have. And you just start to see things. And, one of the things I feel like really helps me as a coach is the fact that I am a physical therapist, because I can watch people move and break down movement patterns on them fairly well. Mm-hmm. And, that doesn't mean that I can't even watch myself play. Like, it is so bad. I am the most awkward, horrible. I'm always like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I can see it in other people. And, so it's been really helpful, and it helps the kids. Like, we'll watch film and I'll point stuff out and they're like, yeah, this, that. And then honestly though, my kids see things, really well too. Mm-hmm. And this is a funny story. I hope Anna doesn't mind me telling it. But, you know, we all played together here, and then, a few years ago, JW was on the ATX Pickleballers, which no longer exists.
Yes.
And he had drafted Gabe Tardio. And Gabe this was 2 years ago, he still really hadn't come into his own. We knew how good Gabe was, but nobody else really did.
Yeah.
And, the kids would go practice and I'd say, hey, did you guys have Gabe go? Because he really needs to be out there. And they're like, no, Anna didn't want him to come. She says he doesn't try hard enough in practice. And I'm like, dude. And so that is how the JJA started, was because nobody would let Gabe come practice.
Oh, my.
We may have to edit that. I don't know.
Gosh, we are not editing that. No, I'm kidding. That's amazing.
And so, and so that's how it started. And I'm like, and it was easier. It was easier to have Gabe and Millie. And that way I was talking to the group and not just my kids. Mm-hmm. And it was a guy for Jdub and a girl for Jorja, and they all were good friends. And it was just, a dynamic that worked for us and allowed me to step in and get a lot of discipline into their games and get a lot of, more, I guess just a more productive practice out of them.
Yeah.
And it helped tremendously. Like, the kids love it. They all still love it. We are all gone. It feels like we haven't all been together in 8 months, really. But, when other people come, they're welcome to join in. I've never really believed in exclusivity. If somebody's going to beat my kids, they better go figure it out. And that's the best lesson you can get, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And, so, you don't lose, you learn. And, that's the way I look at it. So anyway, coaching kind of fell into my lap. It's been good. There's still a lot of kinks we have to work out, and mostly because, I have to be super careful what I say because I'm their mom too. And when everyone's as tired as everybody is right now after this long of a season, it's tough. Yeah.
That's one thing I wanted to hit on. Jdub and Jorja, they're your kids, first and foremost, obviously, but they also have very different personalities. Jdub is very subtle. He's quieter. Jorja is like a dog. She wears her, emotions on her sleeve. She's passionate. She's loud. So how do you, manage the two different personalities? Like, my brother and I were 4 years apart. I played all different sports. So did he. But we're complete opposites, kind of very similar to Jdub and Jorja. And my parents, had to manage that, but they were never my coach. So, how do you go about, I don't know, like thinking about how to talk to each of them differently or not talk to them?
Very carefully. It's so hard, Kaitlyn.
Yeah.
There's times I am sitting on the bench and the only thing that's going through my head is, how can I spin this in the very best possible way for them to receive it? Because I have done it all wrong. I've done everything wrong, and I've learned, it feels really lonely in pickle, I think. There's not a lot of coaches. There's not a lot of people available, just because, like I said, not a lot of people have lived it.
Yeah.
And, so sometimes, like, I laugh that Rachel always says she liked having me there because the girls won their first, 3 matches in like 15 minutes. I'm like, wow, I am such a great coach. I said nothing.
Yeah. So, sometimes it's just a support though.
Yeah, exactly. And so I have to remember my kids know a ton about pickleball. JW's, incredibly perceptive. He's very good. In fact, it's almost a deficit to him because Jorja will say, Jdub, what do you want me to do? And he's like, well, just this, and this. And we're like, dude, why didn't you speak up? Like, he goes, well, isn't it obvious? Well, not always. Okay. So we, and Jorja too, she's gotten to be, I love when we say coaching, a lot of times it's more of the three of us bouncing ideas of what we saw off of each other, and is so helpful and good things to remember. And we did this and we did that, and worked against this person. Yeah.
Jorja, I told you after the MLPs, but after the first day of the championship series, I said that was the most amazing. Like I know Jorja's an unbelievable player, right? She is an amazing pro. I had never seen her. She just like stepped into her own in like a new way that I hadn't really seen before. And then she carried it through the entire weekend. Like it was a transcendence. I don't know if you felt that, but I just was like, Jorja, I said she was her. Like the whole weekend, she was it, and she deserved it so much. And what I loved is she brought the energy for that team. Like a lot of people questioned, how that team's raw abilities are clearly, the best out of any team, I think most people would say. But it was like, can they fight hard together? And Jorja was like the rock, like, let's go Jdub, like giving so much support and confidence to all of them. And they all did. I mean, Augie was amazing. Yes. Tyra was amazing. Jdub. Yes. All of them deserved it, but I just thought Jorja was like on a different level.
It's funny. It's true, Kaitlyn. Like I've seen flashes of that in her. I guess I shouldn't say that, but I've seen it come out. Yeah. And, that weekend she brought it the whole time and was unbelievable.
The first time that they lost to Annalee, and Mari, I think I came up to after that. I was like, they have the strategy down correct. The Texas Ranchers were not playing Annalee correctly with Mari. They were just dinking cross court to Mari's backhand. No one was attacking. Like if there's any team that's going to beat Annalee and Mari, it's the team, in my opinion, that's going to be just relentlessly attacking Mari and then getting some, same thing with Annalee, but like it needed to be attacks. And Jorja and Tyra's hands are unbelievable, they can win those battles. And so I thought they did a fantastic job of choosing their spots and speeding up and getting that sort of rally starting instead of like, just waiting, death by dink. It's just not going to work. Yeah. Annalee's just going to get involved too much in my opinion. So
it's true. The girls, the more they played together, the more confidence they got. It was so, if you had scripted a Hollywood movie, it wouldn't have come out as fun as that whole, like it was unreal how that all came about. And, I was just so impressed with the girls. Tyra is just unflappable. Like she is here and she actually learned it. She, has stated, throughout the course of this year, she learned how to tolerate heckling, and it really got to her the first time people she considered friends went after her. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not ashamed to say it. Like when you have to spend 10 hours listening to Ryan Harwood's mouth go after your kids, it's a lot. And the way those kids handled it, to me, I just have no respect for the way he goes at players because it's such a tiny community. And, I don't feel like you have to degrade other people to play better. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's just not the way I'm wired. And I don't feel like, attacking people personally and trash talking them relentlessly is effective. And, I was sitting there and he has two beautiful little children. And I thought, I wonder if I stuck them out here in the middle of the court and went after them, if people would think I was a good person.
I know. I feel you. Sports are such an insane world. Like I came from soccer. I came from basketball. Like in basketball, people are like talking shit to your face 24/7. Parents are going at you when you're like 5 years old. And so I think people just have different values and different ways about going about competition. And, there's some people that are just not gonna, that's something I've never done. Like I've never gone, at somebody. The only time I ever punched somebody in soccer was when they like came and did horrible fouls to my center defender, I remember, and I went up and like started fist fighting the girl. But other than that, it's, you know, if somebody does something first, it's maybe a reaction. But yeah, I'll say this. I don't have a child yet, but the way that I treat my dog is like a child. And if somebody was talking to my dog like that, I can only imagine what you were feeling.
Yeah, it was a long day. That was a really long day.
Yeah.
And I felt like our team did a tremendous job of keeping everything under control.
Well, Mark is amazing.
Mark is such a good guy. Yes.
And so is his family. Like that was the first time I really talked to him and then met his entire family. I'm like, they are unbelievable. Like it would be a joy to like work with them, talk to them. Like, yeah. So amazing job. Ed Chow did a great job. I got to know him well. Like it seemed like the perfect ending. And I'm so happy for Augie because he was kind of, you know, he's the 4th rounder, came up so clutch. He was so steady. He was off the charts. So,
you know, it was interesting, Kaitlyn. We were all on the phone, like coming down to that last pick, and we knew we wanted a lefty for Tyra. And, there was so many good lefties still in the, you know, to choose from. But I just thought Augie's going to be the very best person to fit in with JW. And it was true. Like he was, that is one special kid. I just can't say enough good things about Augie. I can't say enough good things about Tyra. All of them, they were just special and they truly cared about each other.
Yeah.
And, but Augie's he never one time would ever assess blame to anybody else for anything. And he, was so coachable, so hardworking. That is an amazing person, Augie. Love you, Augie.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the traits that you just mentioned are traits that like should be across every single pro pickleball player, but it's actually astonishing that like 90% of them don't have all of those traits. It's something that, you know, coming from a soccer background, I was playing on the youth national teams with US Soccer and going to go pro. Every single person, I mean, majority of the people that I was associated with, like all were hardworking, coachable, driven, smart, you know, constantly like exactly what you just said about Augie. And I look at the pro pickleball world and I think because maybe like some of this was thrown into people's lap a little bit more, you know, I always say that pro pickleball up until maybe this year, like people didn't really have to work that hard. No one was working hard. And honestly, I still don't think people are working like I've grinded my entire life for soccer, and people that go on and play pro soccer in the NWSL, they were making $40,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they dedicate their entire lives. Like I started playing soccer when I was 2 years old, and people, you know, just making that. And then pro pickleball players, they may have played tennis at like a D3 school, or maybe they didn't. And then like knowing what true hard work is, showing up every single day and drilling, like working on something specific, working on their fitness, going super hard at fitness, like till you can't breathe or like you're going to throw up, like eating healthy, like the regimen on nutrition is not there. So to me, we are still at such a baseline for pro pickle. And yes, it's a smaller court. There's not as much, you know, movement.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. No. These people that are like, I just think that there's still such a huge gap in like what true professionalism will look like in pickleball in 10 years and like what it is now. I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying I'd say, you know, the majority of pros, you know, they're under these 3-year basically contracts and they're cush, and most, you know, not all of them, but there was 100 people signed to this. I'd say a lot of them are not working hard all the time, but you know, some are. And I think that's the way this is going to head.
It was so, yeah, you're right on every front, because it was so hard for JW to come over from tennis, because he's like, what's going on? Like, where are we going? Like, and he would train, you know, he was used to going 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours a day. It didn't bother him. And, so that was also where the drilling really kicked in a few years ago. But he he's always had a very careful diet. He's always done fitness and all of that stuff. And I feel like Jorja never took a sport to an extreme that he did, but she's really watched and learned from him, and she's doing great as well. And I start to see it now, like people are starting to kick in, but it's still, you're right. It's a long ways off for the majority of players.
Yeah. And there's still in my opinion, like still such a major gap in the women's side specifically. I'm shocked that more tennis players haven't come over that are, 100, 200 in tennis, not making anything, and have the opportunity to come over here and crush it. I think, one person I've kind of had my eye on is Sophia Suing. Played with her in India, very high level tennis player at University of Miami, left early to play pro. She's got like all of these tools in her bag that I think, with more drilling, she's really going to shine. She's incredible at singles already, and doubles is, she's going to be great. But I'm shocked more haven't come over, because they have, if you're playing on the tour, you have that dedication to train hard, to know what it takes to work hard and not make anything. And now you come over here and there's sponsors involved. I mean, I felt like last year was kind of like, if you named that you were part of pickleball, people were just like throwing money at you. Here, it might change a little bit, but we're still at the inception of the sport. This is still growing. This is just starting to grow overseas and internationally. So I'm really excited to see what happens on that, from that front. More athletes getting involved, more people that want to work hard. Yeah,
it's going to be exciting.
You and Jack, going back to you and your husband, you obviously both had like an athletic prowess growing up, but you also had the intelligence side, being a vet and a physical therapist. Have you made any investments into pickleball companies, or is the direct exposure to the pro pickleball landscape enough?
Sort of. The kids have had some opportunities that we've kind of said, we think you should go ahead. There's one that's coming up that we really can't talk about, but everything in pickleball has, like, you've had to be really careful. Everyone's kind of jumping in. There's been a lot of self-serving, a lot of rah. And I was really sad to hear today that there's a big pickleball indoor facility that's over on the other coast.
The pickleball club done.
Yes.
It was like $130 million project, and they were doing multiple in Florida. I read that on LinkedIn yesterday. I couldn't believe it. Matt Gordon, I think that was his name, that was running it. What was it? Was it entertainment or just dedicated pickle? It was entertainment, right?
That's a good question, Kaitlyn. I think it was just dedicated pickle, but they had like, I think, like F&B and stuff like that. So
it was like the club. It was like golf course, like the club of a golf course they wanted to bring to pickleball. I believe that was kind of like their slogan. They wanted it to be like a country club experience.
Exactly. And then of course we all know the Pickleball Rocks fiasco. And so there's been a lot of people approach us, but I haven't felt like, honestly, in pickleball, when you say, can you show me your business model? It's like crickets.
Yeah.
Right. And, I kind of feel like everyone's hit it with the build it and we will come. Oh, do you want to buy into our clothing company? Do you want to buy into this? Do you want to buy into that? I was like, whoa, first of all, clothing and shoes are super hard.
Hard.
Why do you want to do that? And, do you want to buy into our paddle company? Well, that's not easy. There's only how many paddle companies out there? So we have been really reluctant and pretty hands off of most things that have been brought to us. We've just said, no, thank you.
Yeah. There's even myself, I'm getting asked for a lot of different things, and like the plethora of opportunities is going to continue to be there.
Yes.
But choosing the right options that align with your values and with you going forward. And, some of these businesses are going to fail. Some of these businesses are going to be successful, but making sure that you're aligning with somebody that, you believe has the potential to be successful, that you guys can grow together, that you like the people that are doing this, that you believe in their hard work. It's very difficult to find, but it's also a space that has seen tremendous growth. And because we were at the beginning stages of this, there seems to be a huge opportunity. So that's why I was asking, like, how do you pick a horse in the race? If your agent has been helpful.
Yeah. So honestly, for Julie Johnson, it's been called getting burned several times over and over by people and companies. And so we've sort of learned the hard way, and it's been awesome to have an agent to just put them out there. Like, go talk to Patrick, because I messed up 2 times significantly, and it was tough. I thought people were coming at me in their best interest. One of them is one of the biggest paddle companies there is right now. It was a rough lesson to learn. And so anyway, super cautious when we get approached, and we really haven't done a lot with putting our names out there. So
you guys are with Franklin as a family. I feel like you guys are the Franklin family. But are they with any other sponsors right now? Are you with any other sponsors?
So Jorja has Chicken and Pickle, loves Chicken and Pickle. They've been so good to her. JW has Pickle Rage, which is, it was a private equity group that developed an indoor pickleball franchise model that they're building throughout the Midwest. And we went to a grand opening they had in Detroit, and I was stunned. It was very well done. They had the Cushion X courts. They had, just good lighting, good spacing. Visually, things were well done. Well,
are you playing pickleball still? Like, are you still playing pro, or what's that? Like?
So I don't know how much of this we can put in, Kaitlyn, but like usually senior pro doesn't make in PPA. Yeah. So we might need to edit that out, but I am playing some when I can. And one of the main opportunities I have is that the women's usually doesn't make, the men's singles and the men's doubles in PPA senior pro usually does make. And if it is a progressive draw, oftentimes it will make. And at that time Steve Deacon is free to play with me. So that's been awesome. So Steve and I played probably 5 times together this year. And amazing. He is so good and so easy to play with. And we got gold every single time. And
let's go.
It's all Steve.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So you're like could you go play APP, or like you have to play UPA, like PPA now?
Yeah, I could. I myself could go play APP. It's just more travel on top of what we're already doing. And I also could play NPL, which is the senior pro MLP. I think there's 12 teams there. Beth Bellamy, kind of Rick her brainchild. Rick Witzkin. And, but I just can't, Kaitlyn, commit to more travel on top of what I'm already doing. I'm so tired that when we're home, I just want to be home. So
I get it. You are wearing so many hats, like you said before. And it's just, I don't know, the pressure just from I know what my parents went through watching my brother and I compete, and you're in the thick of it right now. So just that alone, I remember, like, I don't know how you handle your stress. That was another question that I had. You know, a lot of times women tend to forget about themselves because they're so giving to either their family members or others. Have you found any techniques that you've used to make sure that your cup is also filled when you're giving so much to others?
Yeah, that has been a struggle for me because have I found a balance? I don't know if I have or not. I've tried. One thing I'll tell the kids when we get home, hey, listen, don't ask anything of me or look for me for like 3 days. I am going to go get exercise. I'm going to eat right, and I'm going to go play pickle. And it really does help to hit something, Kaitlyn.
Yes. So, you know, people use that for pickleball reasons.
That's right. So the pickleball in and of itself is quite therapeutic. And I needed to be nicer to myself. I tend to always push myself pretty hard. And the fact that I need breaks and I need to take some time for myself, it felt weird, but I'm getting better at that. And, so, I've learned it's okay to be tired and to rest. And it's actually hard because we go. And then you get home and you're like, oh my God, I literally have 500 things staring at me that need done. And you just have to kind of plow through and try to prioritize, and gotten better. I'm not great, but I'm better.
Yeah. Yeah. I talk to a lot of females, and they're, you know, some of them use like meditation techniques. Other are like very rigid about waking up and making sure they get a workout in, like getting small wins in the beginning of the day to feel accomplished. Yes. That way they can tackle the rest of their day. And that's something that I just note, that when I work out in the morning, or if I play pickleball in the morning, I feel like the rest of my day is increasingly productive, and making sure I'm hydrating early on in the day. That's also been really helpful. So, you do so much. So just make sure you're giving back to yourself a bit, and hopefully Jack is giving you like foot rubs or something.
He's actually good at that. Every night he gives me a foot rub.
Oh,
props to Jack. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So looking into the next 2 to 5 years, what does the future look like for the Johnson family?
Yeah. So my kids are still young. And it's funny because people will ask us, oh, can you come give a clinic, or can you do this or that? And I'm like, listen, my kids don't really love that kind of stuff yet. They'll do it every once in a while. They'll do more like play with the pro. So honestly, in the next 5 years, I just mostly foresee the kids still trying to weather the storm as a professional, ride the wave, everything that's coming and going. I was talking to Mark today, and I said, Mark, it is so nice to just feel like there's not a huge storm on the horizon. And he goes, well, Julie, you probably shouldn't feel that way. And I'm like, oh my God, don't say that. So, right now we're at a good place. I prefer to think about strategies and shot execution and court positioning and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And how can we get better, and how can we improve our game, more than I want to think about the business end of everything going on in pickleball. I hope we're at a good place with all of that for a while. And I've really enjoyed developing the way we look at our workouts and our days and that kind of thing. And so I know that eventually my kids are going to get to a place, but in 5 years, I mean, Jorja's 23. I still feel like, she's got a ton left. I feel like Jdub's got a ton left. So I don't foresee anything other than learning to do what we're already doing better, and doing the scheduling more efficiently, and you know, it's always in flux. Now we've got this MLP season in the middle of the year. How do we schedule in and around that? I just feel like we make mistakes. We all sit down and say, oh, we shouldn't have done it that way. Let's try it this way. And, we're getting better. But we're still living and learning all the time. I would like to see my kids, develop some sort of a business in pickleball to finally find the right niche. I just don't feel like we have yet. And I'd love to see them start that and develop that, as something past pickle. But for now, 5 years feels like we could possibly all still be kind of in the heat of this for a while.
No, for sure. I mean, Jdub and Jorja seem like they're going to be in pickleball world for a very long time. But I think it's right to start thinking about what could be after. You never know. And so many pros, a year or two ago, this wasn't a thought on many people's calendar or whatever you want to call that. But, you know, you have, Decklebar owns Pickleball 360, Pickleball Getaways with Ben Johns. Colin Johns is developing the RPO certification. You have Tyson building out his mega platform. Zane's building out his. But there's still a lot of pros. I talked to Anna Bright, like she doesn't really have anything yet. Rachel, like there's people that are definitely starting to think about it more because you just never know what's going to come in. I was in India playing, and these kids are unbelievable with a racket. and because I went in February and then I went in November, and seeing the change just from those short months they don't have any coaching over there. They have no one that knows how to play pickleball. They have no players over there helping. And just the straight trajectory up of how amazing these people are getting. And it's still not near the US. Like most of them are still not near. There's a couple. I remember in February, there were 2 guys that took, Arman and Harsh. They took Rob Nunnery and Andre Dascu to a game of third game.
Wow.
And Rob's knee was injured and whatever, but still, regardless, that's legit enough. There's international tours developing, so that could become a real threat. But that also provides more opportunities for the players. So I think, you're in good hands with you got Mark on your side, you got the agent, Patrick on your side, and you and Jack. I feel like your kids are just set up for great success. And, I'm looking forward to see what they do in the future too.
Me too, Kaitlyn. I mean, it's exciting to think about. I know that they're super excited to start doing some international stuff. They want to go travel and to do that. And so it's honestly in pickleball, I haven't ever been able to predict the next 6 months. So to think about the next 5 years, it just seems like I have no idea.
We always used to say it was like 1 year in pickleball was like 10 in regular life because so many things happened and everything like that. But it was great to see you guys at the MLP Championships. That was incredible. I'm so happy. And first time I saw Jdub with a girlfriend. I know you have to manage all the ups and downs of motherhood. That was another thing that I was like, I wonder how Julie is taking it. The first girlfriend around. But he's like growing into his own. He was like rocking her proudly on his hand. I was like, go Jada.
She's a great kid. So yeah.
She was cheering loud with the Molthans. It was cute.
Yes, that was so fun. They had the whole crowd back there. They were so cute.
And you're like best. Who was that guy that I interviewed that was like cheering the loudest?
Jonathan Wilson. Yes. Yes.
I was like, who is he like a family friend or who?
So Johnny is actually from New York and he moved down to this area maybe a year after we did. And, he's just, he plays pickle and, he's actually a good 5-0 player. He's also an interior designer. So he has his own business and, doesn't get to play that much, but loves pickle. He's just another one of my kids.
Wow.
Yeah, just here. And he's a great friend, great supporter of the kids. And we love Johnny. Yeah.
He was all out. I was like, are you getting paid to do this? He's like going crazy.
You know, the thing that makes me mad, and I want to say this, is Jorja got that cruise. And I was like, oh, sis, who are you asking? And she's like, I'm taking Johnny. I'm like,
stop. Are you kidding me?
No.
Is she really taking him?
Yeah. Well, this is their relationship. So Patrick had this gig in, I don't know, Mexico with his other company that he has. And he called the kids and he's like, hey, do you want to come down and do a pickleball thing for this corporate event? Mm-hmm. And Jdub's like, no. And Georgia's like, yeah, I'll go. And then I'm like, are you really going? She goes, yeah. I was like, well, I'm leaving. JW and I are leaving. I can't go with you. She goes, I'll get Dad. And Jack's like, I'm not going. And she's like, that's fine. I'll call Johnny. And so it was 8:00 at night and the flight left at like 7 the next morning. And she picks up the phone. She's like, Johnny, will you go with me to Mexico? And he's like, sure.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they travel around and go to concerts. I mean, they're like, Millie, Johnny, and Jorja are always up to something. So.
Wow. Okay, Johnny, I see you. Maybe Johnny needs to become my new best friend. I need an interior designer and I need a 5-0 low pro mixed player. So that's perfect.
There you go.
Oh my God. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This has been so amazing. I'm so happy that so many people get to hear your story. You've been somebody that I've looked up to for a long time. Actually, I wanted to do this earlier, but I forgot. So I'm going to do it now.
Okay.
when the first time I ever saw Julie Johnson with her kids live in person was on August 14th, 2022. I'm reading an Instagram DM I sent Julie. Hi, Julie. I just wanted to say that I watched your kids play this past weekend, and not only are they fabulous pickleball players, they have amazing character. I spoke with your son prior to his matches, and he was so sweet. Your daughter and your son never stopped smiling. Even when your daughter was losing today, you and your husband had smiles on. It was a joy to witness your family successes. I'm excited to see where your family goes because with character like that, you all deserve the best. Hope to see you guys around at more tournaments. Safe travels. And now I just got the chills reading that.
Oh my God.
Now, 2.5 years later, we're on this podcast. So it's been a joy to watch you guys over the last 2.5 years. So incredibly proud of your family. You guys have led pickleball in such an amazing way with such great character. And I think everyone sees that in the pickleball community and beyond. So from a pickleball lover, thank you for doing what's right always and just like shining the good light onto pickleball throughout the world.
Thank you, Kaitlyn. Kaitlyn, you made me, that was so sweet. I was actually going to bring up Timmy Parks, but that was so nice. I can't even bring him up now.
Oh, you can bring him up. It's okay. Bring him up.
No, because I couldn't get this on my computer, and so I'm using my phone. But on my phone, I was going to play on the podcast you two are on, where he predicted the Flash to win.
Yes, you should have did that.
Timmy did.
Yes. Oh, do you want to know the second? First of all, I was with him. We were flying private on Al's jet home when they won. I was hosting the Major League Pickleball finals, and then I was supposed to fly back with Al and the group. And so I have to say, Connor Pardo was so nice to let me leave because otherwise I would have been stuck there for another day and a half. I would have had to get a flight and everything. Oh, so he was like, no worries. Like, you can go. We'll get a fill in. Ireland was grateful to do it. Or I'm grateful that Ireland did it. And, then I flew home with them. So we were on the plane. We somehow got the connection. We were watching on an iPad, and then you guys won. And I was like, oh my God, this is like incredible, whatever. And then the second we got off, he sent a clip of him predicting it.
I got it too.
Oh, he sent it to you. Oh, sorry, not sorry. Like the guy on Twitter, like he tweeted the same thing. I'm like, he's literally sending this to everyone in the universe because it's all about him. Tim is like, I'm the best. I said this. Like, whatever, Tim, like, there's so many things I could say about Tim Parks, but he did predict it. Congratulations, Tim. Yeah.
You two going at each other on that podcast was so funny. I was like, I'm so ornery. I'm like, I got to bring Timmy up to Kaitlyn.
We go at it. We literally we fight like brother and sister, but like, I love Tim, but I hate Tim, you know? It's like, it's that relationship, but he was a nerd his entire life. He was never good at anything sports wise. I think he did rowing in college at Notre Dame, which like everyone does if they suck at every other sport and need to get into a good school. No one's like, oh, I want to be a rower. You suck at everything else, and then you get money to go to a school or you get into a good school for rowing. That's what everyone does. I played a real sport and played real sports my whole life. And he's like, Kaitlyn, the best thing I know about you is that you scored 50 points in a basketball game in high school. I can't believe it. And I'm like, yeah, Tim, I was a real athlete. But he is I give it to him. He's very smart. He's a narcissist. He talks too much about himself and he thinks he knows everything.
Well, I did ask him a question the other day when I saw him. I said, Timmy, I need your help. In the objectification of women, how does this rank? Because I know you'll know.
Oh, 100%. I mean, his list of women is unbelievable, but he's very smart. I love him. He's just, we go at it because he thinks he knows more than me, but he doesn't.
I agree.
But yeah, he did predict you guys. I give him props. I give him a lot of props. Even Jim Kloss predicted you guys.
Oh, okay. I had
the shock. Let me down big.
Yeah.
Real big. But, yeah, I'm very happy for you guys. Okay, last thing that I forgot to do again, because this is the first episode. Having every guest, you have to say, talk pickle to me in the sexiest way you can.
Oh no, Kaitlyn, I can't do that.
When Jack massages your feet, talk pickle to me.
That is way out of my realm, Kaitlyn. I can't. Oh my God, my kids would die.
Okay. You don't have to do it that sexy, but can you just say talk pickle to me in a way that's
pickle to me?
Okay, wait. I can't be talking over you.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, go.
Talk pickle to me. That's as good as I got.
We'll work on the sexiness. Once Jorja does it and Jdub does it,
if there was something out there of their mom trying to be sexy, my kids would never leave their room again.
Oh my God. I love it. This has been actually so fun. I would do it every day talking to you.
Thanks, Kaitlyn. You too.
I appreciate your friendship. It's always fun to play with you in rec games on the court. So hopefully I'll get to see you soon, but hopefully you enjoy some time off before the Master. You're going to be at Daytona.
Yeah. Jorja's playing. Yep.
Amazing.
And when we play rec, do we have to have Brian Levine again?
No, we can, Danny Warfel can still stay, but, we can find a sub. Well, that's awesome. This is actually going to air, very beginning of January. It's going to be the first podcast, of the series. So yeah, it won't be before Christmas, but I'm going to hype it up and we should do some fun things with it. So
all right, Kaitlyn.
Hopefully it's good. But thank you again so much, Julie.
Wish you all the best, girl.
Really appreciate it.